Hello everyone, my name is Ankur Gupta and today I will be presenting and showing to you the latest and greatest in SCOM. The agenda for the presentation is going to be as follows. We are going to talk about the new System Center Operations Manager aka SCOM release and also about the release plan for the other versions of SCOM. After that, we are going to delve deeper into SCOM 2022 and the latest and greatest features that we have built into the software. With that done, we will move into updates coming in the management pack space, including details about the new MP for Azure Stack HCI. And finally, we will touch upon the topic of using SCOM for hybrid monitoring. So let's begin with some information about the release cycle of the different versions of SCOM. Data center management is complex with multiple components across compute, storage, and networking, yet vital for continuous operations of an organization. Since its release in 2008, Microsoft System Center Operations Manager has provided organizations with leading edge capabilities that deliver a simplified management experience to keep them in control, whether they are on premises, in the cloud, or across platforms. Today, there are two SCOM releases out in the market with active support, with another release beginning its extended support period. SCOM 2012 and SCOM 2012 R2 extended support ends in July 2022. SCOM 2016 went out of mainstream support from January 2022 onwards, which means that the product is still supported, but there will be no more upcoming URs for SCOM 2016. SCOM 2019 was released sometime in 2019 and UR3 was released in Q1 of calendar year 2021. And we are really excited to announce that SCOM 2019 UR4 will be coming out sometime in Q2 of this calendar year. The UR will contain bug fixes for the most pressing bugs that were raised after UR3 was released. And finally, the most important announcement I want to make is regarding the release of SCOM 2022, which came out last month. Based on customer feedback, we added a lot of new features to SCOM 2022, alongside adding support for Windows Server 2022. SCOM 2022 is now generally available and it includes 5 years of mainstream support and another 5 years of extended support. Now that we are on the topic of SCOM 2022, let's dive deeper into it and see what's new in the software. With SCOM 2022, we aim to do three things. We want to have a software that is the best in class for data center operations monitoring. This is the original value proposition that SCOM came up with, and with the new release, the legacy simply carries on. Second, we want a piece of software that can monitor heterogeneous infrastructure because our traditional customers are widening the scope of their infrastructure deployment. And finally, we want to modernize the entire monitoring experience by using Azure components because we want to utilize the power of the cloud for solving our customers' problems. In a nutshell, wherever your data center is located, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, you will get the capability to monitor it. We recognize that a lot of customers have invested ample time and money in setting up their SCOM infrastructure over the years, and we want to provide a solution that can allow you to monitor your machines without sacrificing on your investments in SCOM. To do that, we need a solution that provides consistent control of the org's entire IT estate across environment and platforms. Another trend that we have been noticing is that a lot of companies are moving towards a DevOps based style of management, which means a single team will be managing the entire application development ranging from development to monitoring and usage. SCOM was always weak on that front, but we have made some important steps with SCOM 2022 to be more compliant with DevOps style of working. The most important step that we took is to enhance the RBAC model of SCOM to make it more granular than it already is today. In current SCOM versions, user roles help you use assigned permissions that define access to monitoring data and perform various actions. The user roles are applied to groups of users and are scoped to a group of monitored objects. In organizations, various personas that use SCOM, such as the infrastructure team, the admin team, the specific line of business app team, need to work in collaboration with each other to keep the infrastructure and applications up and running. With the advent of the DevOps style of operations, the boundaries between these personas are shrinking. To cater to the changing scope of roles in organizations, we are introducing a new built-in user role called Read-Only Administrator. This role has read-only privileges to all of SCOM, including the reporting and administration panes. It is like a normal SCOM administrator role, but with no power to change anything. This role is ideal for those personas that need to have access to all the maintenance schedules and management packs, but don't have the rights to make any changes. SCOM 2022 also allows the creation of a custom delegated administrator role with granular permissions. A delegated administrator will have read-only access to all of Operations Manager except for the reporting pane and write permission to the categories chosen explicitly during user role creation. For example, if a user creates a custom delegated administrator with agent management permissions, the custom user role will have read-only access to everything in SCOM like the read-only admin role defined above, plus the permission to manage agent or agentless devices. Another big feature that we have introduced is the Microsoft Teams notification channel in SCOM 2022. We now support SCOM alerts on Teams. Earlier, SCOM supported an integration with Skype for Business that allowed customers to receive notifications from the Ops console. Now, all the Skype for Business customers are encouraged to use Teams to communicate because Skype for Business was retired in July 2021. Also, Microsoft Teams has been growing in usage among first-time users of Microsoft communication products. Thus, this feature would help customers enhance their productivity by getting alerts on a collaborative communication platform such as Teams. Many customers have multiple management groups spread out across multiple organizational teams and line of businesses. This should help in easy exchange of information and quick mitigation of issues. This feature allows you to specify conditions for the channel to allow only certain types of alerts to be displayed. Now, before we move on to the next section, let's see a demo of how the SCOM integration with Teams will work. For SCOM integration with Teams, we will show you how to send a SCOM alert to a Teams channel. For doing that, first of all, you need an app registration. This is an AD app which will be created through the Azure portal or through the M365 portal. The app should have the graph permissions to send messages to a team channel. Once you have configured this, note down the IDs and go to the SCOM console. In the SCOM console and notifications, there are three concepts: channel, subscriber, and subscription. Channel is the pathway that you create to send an alert somewhere. For example, A Teams channel will contain the tenant ID, the username, and password for the delegated permission that we are giving it, which will enable it to create an authentication round and send an alert. Secondly, the subscriber is where exactly do you want to send the alert. This would include the Teams channel ID. Lastly, the subscription links the subscriber to the channel and sets the criteria based on which the alerts will be sent. Configuring the Teams channel. You can see that we give it a name, we give it a tenant ID and a client ID, and the credentials for the delegated user on behalf of whom we will be sending the alerts. We give these endpoints for the public cloud. These default endpoints are valid, but for L4 and L5 DoD and GCC high customers, you would need to change these endpoints. The same will be the case for clouds like Black Forest and Mooncake. Lastly, you configure the format in which the alert would be sent. Here, we use the card API, and these adaptive cards can be configured in any way that you want. They recognize most of the HTML that we need, and you can change this configuration just by reading up on the card API documentation. Once the channel is configured, go to the subscriber. Here you have the option to schedule when the alert can be received and the address to where the alert will go. This address can be obtained by getting the URL of the particular channel, which you can easily do. Suppose I want to send alerts through this channel. You get the link to the channel, copy it, and put it in the console. Lastly, you would link this subscriber with a channel in a Teams subscription. Here, you set the scope on when the alert should be sent. You set the criteria based on which matching the alert would be sent. And then you specify the subscriber and what channel do you want to link and when it is configured. Whenever there is a new alert, SCOM will evaluate whether the alert meets the criteria, the scope, the scheduled time, and if it does, it will trigger an alert to a Teams channel via the Graph API gateway that we have configured in the portal. And then you would be able to see the alerts like this in the Teams channel. These alerts can be made much prettier using some concepts from the adaptive cards. This is the end of the demo. Thank you. The other big feature we have included is called ITOM compliant alerts closure. In SCOM 2019, when an alert was generated by a monitor, it could not be closed unless the health state of the corresponding monitor was healthy. If you try to close an alert generated by an unhealthy monitor, an error message appears, and the alert would not be closed. With SCOM 2022, admin users can opt to choose the alert closure of a health monitor which is in an unhealthy state. This helps during ticketing with bidirectional communication and when you have to implement a connector in between. We are also working hard to make monitoring via SCOM easier when the workloads are spread out across diverse platforms. SCOM 2022 is the best platform to manage your Windows Server 2022 and SQL Server infrastructure. This includes support for SCOM 2022 installation on Windows Server 2022 and monitoring workloads running on Windows Server 2022. Also, quite a few of our customers are monitoring Linux machines using SCOM, making Linux monitoring one of the core focus areas for us, and we are committed to making it better for enterprises of all sizes. We recently introduced a policy to support any new Linux flavor that was released in the market within a few months of its public release. Recently, SCOM added support for Ubuntu 20, Oracle Linux 8, Debian 10, and Debian 11. With Ubuntu 2022 coming out and RHEL 9 in the cards, we will be supporting those flavors soon after they are publicly released. SCOM 2022 also expands support to Azure Stack HCI. Azure Stack HCI is the hyper-converged infrastructure, thus HCI, operating system that runs on on-premises clusters with virtualized workloads. You can add, deploy, and manage Azure Stack HCI 20H2 clusters in VMM 2022. The experience to manage Azure Stack clusters in VMM is like that of managing Windows Server clusters, making it easier for you to adopt HCI without changing any of your internal processes. SCOM also introduces the Azure Stack HCI Management Pack that focuses on the capabilities to monitor Azure Stack HCI scenarios for Hyper-V, storage spaces direct, software-defined networks, and failover clusters for Azure Stack HCI customers. We will cover more of this a bit later. Here are some other updates that are included with SCOM 2022. SCOM 2022 now has an improved installation experience. The installation is faster because the values of some of the registries that are customized commonly are retained. The installation of the reporting and web console servers will be successful irrespective of the updates installed on the management server. Because the registries don't have to be set again and again, the installation becomes faster. Also with SCOM 2022, you can set up and upgrade the database with an existing SQL always on setup without the need for post configuration changes which were previously required. For certificate encryption, support for SHA-1 has been ended and SHA-2 has been made the default encryption choice during all Linux monitoring, thereby making the software more secure. For alerts, one can now view the FQDN source of the alerts. Earlier, when a user tried to tune a management pack for an alert, the FQDN couldn't be viewed. The issue is fixed now. Also, SCOM 2022 removed the dependency on local system account. The built-in dependency of the management servers, which required them to be a part of the operations manager group, has been removed. SCOM 2022 also supports .NET 4.8 and also supports the following latest internet browsers: Internet Explorer version 11, Microsoft Edge version 88 and later, and Google Chrome version 88 and later. Now let's talk about the Management Pack updates. Management Packs are the backbone of SCOM, and we continue to invest in making the MP ecosystem more useful and customer friendly. We believe in investing our efforts in developing MPs that have been most requested by customers, meanwhile also spending effort in servicing existing management packs. In the past 1 year, we have launched two new MPs, the M365 MP and the Azure Stack HCI MP. The M365 MP in fact already has a V2. We will talk more about it 2 slides from now. At the same time, some very common management packs such as RRAS, Remote Desktop, ADCS, and many more have been made version agnostic, that is, with a single workload, A specific MP can work across multiple SCOM versions. To give you an example, the ADCS MP can be installed on SCOM 2016 and above, and it can monitor all versions of ADCS right from 2016 to 2019 and to 2022. Apart from that, based on popular ask, the Exchange MP has been revived to support the latest version of Exchange. The MP is being tested and will be generally available soon. In the upcoming months, the Workflow Analyzer tool, which helps in analyzing MP performance and the debugging of workflows, will be released with a renewed UI. Parallelly, work is also in progress for creating a Microsoft MP to monitor installed certificates, again based on a popular ask. Probably the most important MP we have released recently is the Azure Stack HCI MP. The shift to the Azure Stack HCI platform is an industry shift as more and more on-prem data centers shift to HCI from traditional environments. As that movement happens, we believe that customers will be interested in using the Azure Stack HCI on host servers. The reason for this is that the very basic definition of HCI is that it contains compute and storage in a single box, which leads to more cost savings for the customers. We are working on a hybrid enablement strategy, and bringing SCOM and Azure Stack HCI together falls into that strategy. For a long time, SCOM customers have been wanting to leverage Azure Stack HCI, and the preference of these customers is to use the rich capabilities of SCOM to monitor their Azure Stack HCI systems. This release will help enable SCOM customers to adopt Azure Stack HCI without needing to rip and replace their existing monitoring setups. The Management Pack supports Azure Stack HCI versions 21H2 and 20H2. It is designed for SCOM 2019 UR3 or later. The new Management Pack will also come with the capabilities to monitor Azure Stack HCI scenarios for the following: Base Azure Stack HCI OS, Hyper-V, Storage Spaces Direct, Software Defined Networks, and Azure Stack HCI clusters. The MP comes with certain capabilities that let customers get their workloads quickly up and running. It is simple. Customers can select one or more management packs based on their workload requirements in their HCI systems. The installation process is very easy because it is a wizard-based approach. It is customizable. Once the MP is installed, customers will have full control over their monitoring configurations, allowing for any fine-tuning. And it is built for market adoption. It helps increase adoption rates for Azure Stack HCI among existing System Center customers. The M365 MP has been one of the most popular MPs to be requested, and it has had about 1000 plus downloads since its inception. We have heard great feedback about its ease of usage, and we are working to add more features to it, with a V3 scheduled to be released sometime soon. In V2, users are able to monitor multiple SKUs with a single watcher node. Some customers gave us feedback about the use of percentage while defining thresholds, and we are working to implement that feature. Lastly, we replaced the deprecated Service Comms API with the Graph API, which is used to query service incidents and health data from M365. In V3, there will be many significant changes, and few of them are listed on this slide. Users can now opt between different types of authentication methods, that is, application-based authentication, which is currently available, or delegated and certificate-based authentication, which will be added. The MP will also replace the Skype NAT, which stands for Network Assessment Tool, with TeamSnat. Another upcoming significant change allows users to use the SCOM management server as a watcher node, reducing the offload work on agents. Finally, we are adding a new synth transaction to measure a team's chat latency or performance. Now that we are close to the end, let's talk about hybrid. A lot of you might be aware that the cloud has become a viable alternative to on-prem data centers. Over the last 2 years, many of the System Center customers have given us feedback that they are adopting cloud, with some of them even moving their entire on-prem data center to Azure because they want to shut down their on-prem infrastructure. Reasons range from cost all the way to org policies insisting on a cloud first setup to get out of on prem asset management. But the catch is that moving to the cloud takes time, ranging from a year to multiple years, depending on the size of the customer's infrastructure. Thus, we foresee that many customers are going to have a hybrid environment set up at least for the next few years. Hybrid, in this case, means an environment that is spread out across on-prem and Azure. Some of the workloads would be on-prem and some would be in Azure. And for a customer with a hybrid environment, they want a consistent cloud-based monitoring experience with minimum on-prem infrastructure to manage. A cloud-based solution will make it easier to monitor cloud-based workloads and also on-prem workloads. Furthermore, customers want a solution that allows them to reuse their investments in SCOM. Many customers have spent years fine-tuning the management packs and setting up their infrastructure in a specific way to optimize costs and get data. In short, they want something that supports SCOM management packs, custom monitors, alert rules, and they want a way to migrate their current investments to the new solution. But they don't want SCOM as it is today. They want a solution that can leverage the power of the cloud for solving everyday problems. Features such as auto-scaling, disaster recovery are must-haves in any software nowadays, and the cloud offers these and more as built-in guarantees. With all these requirements in mind, we are working on a solution that will be cloud native and allow customers to monitor their workloads wherever they are located. We will reveal the solution in due course. Stay tuned and thank you.